Hello, my name is Catherine Whitaker and I'm CEO of EtonX. I'm going to take you through the UK Schools programme, which we offer for schools here in the UK. There is free access to any one of our Future Skills courses for years 10 to 13. So you've probably heard of Eton College, but you might not have heard of EtonX. EtonX is a subsidiary of the school, and we work with teachers and other staff there to produce courses which develop skills that students might not always have the chance to develop during their academic programmes. So we're focusing on extracurricular type courses, which are 100% online. And what we're trying to do is answer this very difficult question, which is what skills are essential in an unknown future? Now, before COVID, we used to talk a lot about rapid technological change, globalization, and what's often called the global skills gap. And by that, we mean the fact that a lot of employers say that students are not ready for the world of work once they leave school or university because they haven't developed their communication skills or their self-management skills effectively. And that's where we come in. COVID has obviously made the landscape even more uncertain, and now students are also facing rising unemployment and more competition for those jobs. So the skills that we offer, I think, are even more important now than they ever were. So we specialise in these 4 areas. First of all, we try and improve students' communication skills so that they are effective in a team or being able to communicate with their manager or other people within an organisation. We also help students who are preparing for university or other forms of higher education, and students for whom finding a job and going into the workplace straight after school is also their path. And we also help with what are sometimes called leadership skills, often very much the case that it's about students developing the kind of skills that allow them to take advantage of opportunities when they come their way. The Future Skills programme contains 11 different courses, which range over quite a variety of different topics. So you'll see, for example, students who are looking to improve their job prospects. Courses such as CV writing, entrepreneurship, and interview skills could be the right choice. If students are heading for higher education, or perhaps they're doing an EPQ while they're in the 6th form, then skills such as research skills or critical thinking would be a good choice. And then there are other skills which help students just manage themselves and take advantage of opportunities as they come. I would pick skills like making an impact, which is around assertiveness and influencing in that bracket, as well as our most popular course at the moment, which is the resilience course. And I'm going to go into a little bit of detail on that course later. So as I mentioned, all our courses are 100% online. And as part of this program, we offer the self-study course module for free. So these are completely independent study. It means that students can study where they want to at their own pace, any time of the day, on any day, and no matter where they are. They don't need to be on campus, they don't need to be in the class, they can work at home or during holiday times as well. We say that most of our courses are between 7 and 10 hours of learning materials, and that really depends on how much effort a student wants to put in. Our entrepreneurship course, for example, has the opportunity for students to develop a business idea. If they really go to town on that, they would be doing 10 hours or possibly even more on that course. But for students who really just want to work through the activities and look at the inputs, then they'll be closer to the 7 hours mark. We have a variety of different content types. There is a lot of video. So on the top right there, you'll see Jo Rainey. She's a history teacher at Eton, and she's one of our course directors. They introduce and conclude each section of study, and she's the course director for our writing skills course. So she helps students build their essay writing skills. Then there are lots of other kinds of videos. On the bottom right there, you can see an actor who we asked to help us with warm-ups for our public speaking course. And then we have lots of interactive reading tasks, decision-making tasks, multiple choice, surveys, etc. As students work through the material, they can keep track of their progress in their dashboard. And they can see both how much of the course they've completed and how well they've done in the sections that they have completed. And once they get to 95% completion, they're able to download a transcript of their results and also a certificate. And we've been really pleased to see on social media lots of students sharing these certificates, which of course can be shown to future employers or mentioned on a university application. We're very keen to stress that the courses are really the start of a journey, and some of these skills can take a lifetime to master and develop. So what we do at the end of each course is we give students the opportunity to create a personal development plan. They have a few objectives that they can choose from, and then they can write why they selected that objective. And that gives them a roadmap for the few weeks after the course and beyond. And this is downloadable. Students can keep this and refer to it whenever they need. So I'm going to take a little look at the resilience course in particular. As I mentioned, that has been the most popular choice for UK secondary schools, both when we first ran the scheme during lockdown and since we really launched at the beginning of this academic year. And firstly, I just want to touch on a question that people often ask, which is, can you actually teach these skills? Isn't something like resilience or creativity innate? And I think what we do with our courses is we find tools and techniques that anyone can learn and start to apply in their everyday lives. And sometimes it can be very simple things. So you'll see in week 5 of the resilience course, gratitude. That's just a very effective and simple way of turning around thought processes to think about the positive rather than the negative. We also do that in week 4 when we talk about optimism. So the way we do this is that we firstly show students what negative thinking habits can look like, and we introduce them to 5 different kinds of negative thought patterns. And first of all, we ask students to work their way through this interactive reading task. It's very visual. We give them examples of different thought patterns. And then as the next step, they need to be able to identify from the examples we give them what traps people are falling into when they have certain thought patterns. So things like catastrophizing, generalizing, predicting the future, all things that we all do from time to time, I'm sure. Then what we do is we show students how those negative thought habits can be turned around, and all those negative phrases can actually be reformulated in a more positive way. So we show students examples of this and ask them to think, well, what would the negative pattern have been? So we're already moving towards promoting more positive thoughts. And next, we ask students to look at ways of, over the next week, finding ways of reframing negative thoughts into more positive ways of thinking. Throughout the courses, in every single course, we encourage self-reflection. And then the resilience course is actually a log where students can complete the answers to the self-reflection tasks. And at the end of the course, again, they can download that and refer back to it. We're very aware that students are at the beginning of a journey and that we're just really setting them on the right path. Now, creative thinking is another increasingly important skill. And one of the reasons why we created our creative problem solving course is because the PISA tests are bringing in a creative thinking skills test in 2021 to acknowledge the importance of this on students' ability to cope with change and contribute to innovation in society. Again, as I mentioned, creativity is something that people often think is innate, and they often think about the creative arts when they think about creativity. But what we're trying to do is give students a structure, a process by which they can solve problems, either things that they want to do in terms of, say, a project, big problems in the world, such as, say, environmental challenges, or whether it's a more small-scale problem in their own lives. So we give them this 7-step wheel, which allows them to go through various stages of understanding the problem, defining it, generating ideas to solve it. And we encourage them to think of as many different ideas. And then we show them ways of evaluating what might be an effective idea and what might not. We also show that it's possible to innovate often by combining 2 pre-existing ideas. Innovation is often about looking at the world, what's already in the world, and combining ideas, not coming up with completely new ideas that no one's ever thought of before. And then we ask them to experiment, to iterate, and have a go at solving their problem if they can. So here you'll see in our syllabus, we've broken that down into, we've put weeks here, but they don't have to be studied week by week. It could be done over a longer period if that suits your plans better. But we've taken those different steps within that wheel, that tool that we give students, and they meet each step week by week in this case. So as I've mentioned, there are lots of benefits for students beyond the skill development benefit, of course. First of all, they get a certificate, which is motivational, and they can show to prospective employers and put on their UCAS form. They get set on a path to think about skill development as something that continues throughout life, and their SMART objectives will help them on the next step. And the thing we hear most about students, most from students themselves, is that these courses help with their confidence. They're often not skills that they've thought of as something that they can work on separately. And they're often not aware that there are these tools and techniques that can be used effectively to have quite big changes on their everyday lives. From schools, what we hear is that we've had examples of students' aspiration levels being increased. One school that we've worked with now has more Oxbridge and Russell Group applicants this season than they have previously had, and they're attributing that to our courses, which is wonderful to hear. We're also obviously there to help with extracurricular programs and take the pressure off teachers who, especially with the Gatsby framework, now have the need to show how the school is meeting those benchmarks. And of course, we're living through extremely uncertain times. Students are, in some cases, having to quarantine or self-isolate. Currently, schools are open, but if we have to go into further lockdowns or there are other reasons why students can't get to school, our courses are online. They can be done if the schools are in session or if they're not. As I said, they can be done in holidays as well. So there's no limit on when the learning can take place, no matter what else is going on in the life of the school. And as I've said, we've had some very positive feedback. This is just two pieces of feedback from our previous scheme, which ran during lockdown. So I'm just going to end on the offer and how it works. So each year group from years 10 to 13 can be offered a free self-study course. And that means that you can choose a different course per year group, but everyone in the year group has to have the same course. You can register through our website, and I'll walk you through that process next. And it's very easy to administer. You just get a set of code, a code for each course, for each year, and you send that code out to students, and then they create their own accounts and their own profiles. If you're not sure which of those 11 courses is going to work best for your students, then we are able to give teachers a 1-month trial of all the courses if necessary. And then that allows you to have a look at each one of them, look at the syllabuses in more detail, look at some of the activities and decide which ones would work best for your context. So this is the web address down here on the bottom right. That's the URL you need to go to in order to register. And the first step is simply that you choose which year groups you want to offer the courses to, and just you certify that you're authorised by your school to make that choice. And step 2 is simply you give us a few more details, your name, the school name, the URN, and it's probably the point to mention that these courses are only free for UK state schools, so you will need a URN, SEED or DE number. And then we have per year, you can decide which teacher is going to be in charge of that year group. And that teacher will then get access to that course for that year group, and they will also get some other materials. So school admin account, so those teachers get the courses that their students are studying. They get access to the students' progress, their gradebook data, and those SMART plans I showed. And they can see which students have successfully completed the course, so who's got a transcript and a certificate. And per course, there is a teacher's resource pack too. That consists of a teacher's guide, full workshop activities and follow-up activities specific to each course. Now, you don't have to implement these. You can do these courses, you can give them to students, and you don't have to be involved at all. You can leave it to students to get on with them, or you can choose to integrate them into other programs that you're running. And I think the teacher resource pack will show you how that can happen. And it also gives you advice as to which points in the course you might want to run a workshop or do some of the other kinds of activities. We also give, if you are running the course without doing workshops, but you do want to know what students are up to, we cover some of the key concepts and techniques. So you can have a quick check on what students are learning, even if you don't have time to work through the course yourself. And we've seen lots of different implementation models for our courses. They work really well for extracurricular, after school workshops, but we've also seen students use them as part of their English classes, for example. And it's really up to the school and individual teachers what works best. And finally, I just want to flag that we also have a free course for teachers, free CPD course. The URL is at the bottom of the screen there. And this is called Evidence-Informed Approaches to Education. It's a series of video lectures, and it's really touching on some of the key topics about secondary education. So we're looking at character education and well-being. We're looking at how to improve academic engagement in this age group. We're looking at whether Generation Z are different to millennials and any other generations you might have taught. We look at resilience again and how to encourage independent learning skills. So lots of really key topics for secondary school teachers there. And there will be other courses in this series coming out in coming months. So if you do register for this course, we'll let you know about other topics that are coming out from Eton and EtonX. So that's really the end of the presentation. We are very happy to answer any of your queries. Support@etonx.com will get you through to somebody who's much better than me answering queries. But I'm very happy to hear from schools who have any feedback or want any more information. And I really hope that we get to welcome some of your students onto our courses soon. Thank you.